The sequencer. The heart of the instrument is its powerful sequencer. Actually, 8 independent sequencer channels provide endless possibilities to create stunning movements. Let's dive into the details. Select the sequencer page in the top menu and activate the sequencer by clicking the green light. Clicking the green light at the bottom of each channel activates or deactivates the sequencer for each channel individually. This way you can play some channels and have other channels playing the programmed sequence on top. At the top left, we have some global controls for the sequence. Chord time sets the time in milliseconds to recognize the incoming notes as a chord. Start and end sets the time when the sequence begins and stops. Instant play the sequence immediately when a note is pressed. Beat, half bar or bar starts or ends the sequence on the next beat or bar. Swing lets you shuffle the groove up to 50%. Dynamic offers 3 modes. Fixed plays the velocities exactly as programmed in the sequencer. Velocity plays the dynamics depending on the keyboard velocity, relative to the programmed dynamic. Crossfade controls the dynamic via CC1, the mod wheel. Each sequence can have up to 12 variations. You can select the variations from the drop-down menu on the right-hand side of the interface, or you simply press the variation keys, displayed in green on the keyboard. Variation key sets the position of these keys. Variation keys work like key switches to select a specific variation, but you can even change the variation while a sequence is playing, and the variation changes instantly. You can copy and paste variations from one to the other. There are some global controls for each sequencer channel. You can change the note division from 16th notes to triplets. The sequence can be played at half time, normal or double time. Select double time, for example, to enable 32nd notes. You can copy and paste all channel settings from one channel to any other. Clear the whole channel by clicking in it. Set the amount of sequencer steps from 1 to 64. Each page contains 16 steps. You can have up to 4 pages of steps. Click the page you want to edit. Click again to loop the page you are working on so you can focus on just this page. Don't forget to turn off loop when you are ready because it stays in loop mode. Copy, paste and clear single pages. Now to the actual sequence. Each channel has its own sequence. Click on a channel to edit its sequence. The orange fields in the top bar show the active steps. Click on a field to activate a step. Click again to set the step to tie. The field turns blue. Tie glues the steps together and extends the length of the active step for longer notes. The little plus on the left side activates all steps. The X deletes all steps. In all other functions, the plus or minus increases or decreases the value of all steps. The X sets all values to 0. Articulations. Not all, but some sound sources have different articulations. In the articulation line, you can assign any articulation to any step of the sequence. Velocity. Easy. Here you set the keyboard velocity for each step. Volume lets you change the volume independently from the volume fader in the mix. Panorama spreads the steps in the stereo field. Transpose works in a range of 36 semitones up and down. That's a range of 6 octaves. Tune changes the tuning. Use Shift-click on all functions for fine editing. Length lets you change the duration of each step. Usually, you will use the bar graph to draw the values with the mouse, but you can also type in a certain value by double-clicking in the corresponding field. Notes. This is complex. Here you decide which notes of a chord you want to hear. The basic idea of the sequencer is to let you play any single note or any kind of chord or whatever you want. The sequencer always follows your playing without any need to consider about a major or minor scale. Last note simply plays the last note you pressed. Up, down, and down acts like a traditional arpeggiator, and it plays the single notes of a chord you play from low to high or from high to low. If you play a single note, this note will be repeated. Chord plays exactly the chord you have played. Inversion 1 and 2 plays the first or second harmonic inversion of the chord or note you play. Let's say you play C2, E2, G2. The first inversion will shift the lowest note one octave higher, so that you hear E2, G2, C3. The second inversion would be G2, C3, E3. The inversions are a fantastic feature because they work not only for chords, but for all other playing methods. Interval plays a straight interval from the lowest note you play. Both intervals A and B play together and will be added to the note you play. This is the only playing method which may result in disharmony with the chords you play. But maybe you want that. The next playing methods, first, second, third, fourth, and highest note, act like guitar strings. They play the single notes of the chord you play. Multiple notes can be selected and they will be added all together. Keep in mind, if you assign a step to a second note but play only one note, no sound will be audible on this step. Filter lets you draw a line for cutoff and the resonance of the filter if activated in the effects page. You can switch to the effects page with the button Filter Page to make your adjustments there, and you can switch back to the sequencer with the corresponding button. You can choose a filter curve from sinus, square, and triangle. Adjust the amplitude of the curve and change the frequency of the filter curve. And, of course, you can draw the curve for cutoff and resonance manually. Pad sets the automation for the XY pad. You can draw the pad movements manually with the X and Y controller, or you can record the pad automation by clicking the record button, play a note, and move the cursor in the XY pad with your mouse. The length of the recording depends on the amount of pages you have assigned on the right side. The XY pad can also be automated independent from the sequencer on the settings page. Send Effects lets you automate the effects selected in the effects page as Send Effects. Activate a send effect to prepare it for automation and draw the send level, the intensity of the effect. Drum groups are a little bit different because, of course, they don't follow the chords you play. In the sequence page, clicking on Key 1 opens up a menu of drum articulations available. Click on a name to assign a drum articulation to a step. Click and move the mouse to hear and adjust the actual velocity. Click No Sound to clear a step. You can assign up to 4 drum layers together on a single channel. Click Edit Keys to select a drum sample by playing notes on your keyboard. Close the window by clicking Close or press the actual step again. Thanks for watching this video, and have fun exploring the endless possibilities of this creative music tool.